let us pray in our hearts that today we may understand the message that we have. So the title you can see here is The Lord and the People of the Desert. So today I would like you to help me because we are going to read some passages from the Bible, and we are going to talk about how God actually went out together with the people of Israel from Egypt, and then how they were living in the desert and how God organized them as His people. And everything is amazing because it is all described in the scriptures, right? So 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 6, it says here, "Now these things were our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they also lasted." So the things that were written in the Bible were written for what? For our example. And verse 11 now, in the same chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 11. "Now all these things happened unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come." So why do we have things recorded in the scriptures then, brothers and sisters? For our example. You know, many times the Bible says that there are things written here for us not to commit the same mistakes that people of the scriptures committed. And also for us to become wiser people as well. And today we are going to use here the whiteboard to actually talk about this topic, the Lord and the people of the desert. Now let's go to Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 and 2. Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 and 2. Remember when the people of Israel left Egypt, they were in such a number that it was a lot for Moses to deal with. And we are going to see, not exactly, but an approach to that number of the people who left Egypt. Exodus chapter 19, verses 1 and 2. And it says here, "In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai." In which month did they get to Sinai wilderness? In the 3rd month. Okay, they were in their journey, and in the 3rd month they got to the wilderness of Sinai. And what happened in Sinai? Do you remember? They received what from God? The 10 Commandments. Right, that's true. Verse 2, it says, "For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount." So, here we see the date in which they were traveling. It was the 3rd month. Now, after this, they received the 10 Commandments. Even after or before verse or chapter 19, they received the manna from heaven, the bread of heaven, right? And in this chapter 19, it gives us the specific date on which they reached Sinai wilderness. Now, after they received the law of God, the 10 Commandments, God gave them another instruction regarding their organization. Let's go to Exodus chapter 25. And I would like somebody to read it. Exodus 25, verse 8. Who finds it can read it, please.
"Let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them."
Thank you. So now they receive the order to do what? To build up a sanctuary. Okay? And now the sanctuary, how long do you think it take to build up the sanctuary?
About 4 months? 5 months?
Well, the Spirit of Prophecy says almost 6 months, right? Exactly. Now, let us see. Let's go to the chapter 40, verse 2. Look what it says here. When the tabernacle was reared up, when they started actually. 40, verse 2. on the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. Okay? So of the first month of which year? Of the second year, right? Of their journey. Now, verse 17. That time when it was reared up. And it came to pass in the first month, in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. So on the second year, the tabernacle was ready for it to be used. Now, as soon as the tabernacle was set up, what happened here? In the same chapter, chapter 40, verses 34 to 38. I'm going to read this, and then I would like you to help me when I give you another passages. Exodus chapter 40, verses 34 and 38. Look at this. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. 38. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all the journeys. Now, let us pay attention to this part here. I tried to draw here this pillar of fire at night. Let us think it's at night. And this pillar of fire was with the people of the desert all the time. So they were looking to it constantly, representing the presence and company of God. Now, whenever this cloud, by day it was a cloud, and by night a pillar of fire, whenever this pillar raised up and moved, the people of Israel had to move as well. It could be at any time, in the morning, afternoon, early in the morning, at night, it could be at any time. And it says here, and when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. So they had to follow this pillar of cloud and pillar of fire at night. Now, it was representing the presence of God. Now, what happened then? We are talking about the first day of the second month of the second year, right? When the tabernacle was reared up. At this point, God started to organize His people. And I would like you to open your Bibles now. Let's go to Numbers. Leviticus, Numbers chapter 1, verses 5 to 15. I would like, let us do in this order. I will start with Brother Nicola, then Sister Alida, then Brother Damien, and so on. We are going to read one Bible verse each, okay? And we are going to see here how the people of Israel were organized with the head or princes of every tribe. How many tribes do we have? 12, right? So we are going to see the heads of every one of them. Brother Nicola, if you are ready, chapter 1, verse 5 of Numbers, please. Yes.
From 20 years old and upward, all that are...
Is that Numbers?
That's 3. That's we're reading verse 3.
Chapter 5, chapter 1, verse 5, please.
5, sorry. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you, of the tribe of Reuben, Eliezer, the son of Shedeur.
Thank you. So Eliezer was the head of the tribe of Reuben. Verse 6, Sister Lida.
Of Simeon, Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai.
Thank you. So Shelumiel was the head of Simeon. Verse 7, Brother Damien, please.
Of Judah, Nahshon, the son of Amminadab.
Okay, so here we have these quite difficult names to pronounce, right? So, but they were the heads of every tribe. That is the way God was organizing His people. Verse 8. Sister Mel, please.
Of Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar.
Thank you. So now Issachar is Nathaniel. Somebody else there? Please, Lena, verse 9, is it?
Zebulon, Eliab, the son of Elon.
Thank you. Sister Rachel, verse 10.
Of the children of Joseph of Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud of Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur.
Thank you. So here 2 tribes are mentioned, right? Descendants of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, his 2 sons. And each of them had their own princes as well, heads of their tribes. Now again, Diana, please, verse 11.
De Benjamin, Abida, filho de Gideoni.
Thank you. It's the same name, right? From Benjamin, Abidan. Now, again, please, Brother Nicola, verse 12.
Of Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai.
Thank you. Sister Alida.
Of Asher, Pagiel, the son of Ophra.
Thank you. Brother Damien.
Of Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Jewel.
Thank you. And Sister Mel, please.
Of Naphtali, Ahir, the son of Enan.
Thank you. So all these people that we read now were the heads of every tribe. So God started organizing them, taking one representative for each tribe. Okay? So Numbers, brothers and sisters, is a book actually, when you read it, you get a lot of numbers, right? As the name says. But there is a lot of beautiful information in this book of the organization of God's people and the way He led His people through the desert. Now, we are going to see as well that Moses numbered the people in the wilderness of Sinai from 20 years old and upward. Now, look at this. Every male by their polls, all that were able to go forth to war. So, here we're going to see now that the people of Israel went under a census. Is that the name? A census when they count all the people? Yes? Now, let's go in the same chapter of Numbers, verse 21. Now, who would like to read this verse? We are going to start with Reuben again. This is going to give us the numbers of every tribe. Okay? Yes, Brother Nicola, thank you.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Reuben, were 46,500.
Thank you. 46,500 in the tribe of Reuben. Now, verse 23. Another one, please.
Is it 22 or 23?
23.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Simeon, were 59,300.
Okay, the number increased now, right? Simeon, 59,300. Verse 25.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Gad, were 45,650.
Thank you. So, now we're going to see the tribe of Judah. Verse 27.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Judah, were 14,600.
And thank you. So every score is 20, right? So 3 score 14, 74,600 people. This was the greatest tribe in number, Judah's tribe. And there was actually, this number had a purpose actually. Judah was going to be the head of all the tribes here. We're going to see that in a moment. Verse 29.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Issachar, were 54,400.
Thank you. Verse 31. Zebulun. Sister Mel, do you have it? Thank you.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Zebulun, were 57,400.
Okay, thank you. Now, again, let us go to Brother Nicola. Numbers 1:33. Ephraim.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Ephraim, were 40,500.
Thank you. Now Manasseh, 35. Sister Alida.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Manasseh, were 32,200.
Okay? A lot of people, isn't it? And only men were counted here from the age of 20 onward. Okay? Now, Benjamin.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Benjamin, were 35,400.
Thank you. Verse 39, Dan.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Dan, were 2,700.
Thank you. Asha, verse 41.
Of the 40, 41.
41.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Asher, were 40 and 1,500.
Thank you. And the last one, Naphtali, verse 43. Just for Nicola.
Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Naphtali, were 50 and 3,400.
Thank you. Now, look at verse 46 now. Even all they that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,550. That was the total number of the people that were counted, the only men were counted that left the land of Egypt. What about women? What about their children? The people of Israel had a custom to get married at the age, or to start with the age of 18 years old. So if we count every man on the age of 20, let us say that all of them had their wives. Okay? It will more than double now, right? With children, even more. Now, one tribe, if you notice, is missing here. Which one?
Levi.
The Levites. Were they counted? Yes, they were. But not in this counting, actually. We're going to see now verse 47. What happened then? But the Levites, after the tribe of their fathers, were not numbered among them. Remember that we are actually after what happened with the people in the desert when they almost left the Lord by making a golden calf, right? And the Levites, they didn't worship this idol, but they actually stand by the side of God, and God chose them as special people among the tribes. Okay? Now, the Levites were not numbered among them. Verse 50. Who would like to read this verse, please? Chapter 1, verse 50. Brother Damien, thank you.
But thou shalt appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp round about the tabernacle.
Thank you. So, what was going to be the work of the Levites here? To take care of the tabernacle. And they were going to encamp round about the tabernacle. Okay? Now, the tribes, they had to pitch their tents. Every one of them. But God gave them a specific position here in the desert. Now let's read verse 52. Look what it says here. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard, throughout their hosts. So God was giving them an order to be organized. Now, chapter 2. Let's jump to chapter 2 in Numbers, verse 2. Sister Mel, if you have it, please.
Every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard to be in sign of their father's house, far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch.
Thank you. So there was an order. For the Levites, they were going to encamp round about it. But for all the tribes, it says two words there. Far off the tabernacle. They were going to be distant from this tabernacle. There was a purpose for that. Now let's go to see how they were organized. Every tribe. Let us start. We are in chapter 2 in Numbers. Let us read verse 3 now. Who would like to read it, please?
And on this side toward the rising of the sun shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies, and Nashon, the son of Aminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah.
Thank you. So, where were they going to pitch their tent? On the east. Let's say east, south, north, and west. Okay? Now, on the east, Judah is mentioned first because of its number. It was the greatest in number. Okay? Every tribe with his own standard, it says. Now, who was going to be next to Judah? Verse 5. Sister Alida, thank you.
And those that do preach next unto him shall be the tribe of Issachar, and Nathaniel the son of Zucker shall be captain of the children of Issachar.
Thank you. Who was going to be next to Judah? Issachar. Okay, the tribe of Issachar. We are going to try to memorize these positions today. Okay, let us remember. J-I, Judah, Issachar.
It's the front of it, isn't it? Is it the front of the tabernacle?
Yep.
Yes, yes, thank you. Now, verse 7 gives us the description of the other one, the other tribe. Sister Mel, verse 7.
Of the tribe of Zebulun, and Eliab, the son of Helon, shall be captain of the children of Zebulun.
Thank you. Now, Zebulun here. Okay? God wanted his people to be organized. And this is the way how they were organized in the desert. Even in the desert. Can you imagine that? It's amazing, actually. And we are finding this information in the book of Numbers. It's amazing. Now, let us read on the south, verse 10. Who is going to be here on the south? Anyone, please. Can you read that?
On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben according to their armies, and the captain of the camp of Reuben shall be Elizur, the son of Shilhi.
Thank you. So Reuben, verse 12. Who was going to be next to Reuben?
And those which preach by him shall be the tribe of Simeon, and the captain of the children of Simeon shall be Jeremiah, the son of Zurishadai.
Zurishadai. Thank you. And next to Simeon, verse 14. Who is going to be there?
And the tribe of Gad, and the captain of the sons of Gad shall be Eliab, the son of
Very well. Thank you. Those are difficult names, right? But look, now we have on the south Reuben. Who else? Simeon and Gad. Let us see if we remember. On the east, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. On the south, Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. That's good. Now let's see on the west, verse 18. Who was going to be here?
On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim, according to their armies, and the captain of the sons of Ephraim shall be Elishama, the son of Amihud.
Amihud. So who is going to be on the west first? Ephraim. Ephraim, right? Now, next to Ephraim, verse 20.
By him shall be the tribe of Manasseh, and the captain of the children of Manasseh shall be Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur.
Thank you. Ephraim and Manasseh were brothers, literally. And the two tribes were going to be together here. And after the desert, when they received their lands in the promised land, these tribes were again together as well, as brothers. It's interesting. Now, verse 22, who was going to be next to them?
And the tribe of Benjamin, and the captain of the sons of Benjamin shall be Edan, the son of Edan.
Thank you. So the tribe of Benjamin. Let us remember this. Look, Benjamin was the uncle of Ephraim and Manasseh. But Ephraim, the nephew, was going to be the head of this side. And Benjamin's tribe has to be subject to them because Ephraim was the head.
Which position are we in? Because you've done the bottom backwards. Wouldn't it go clockwise?
As I did this, I was just following the order, like this. On the,
Reuben. No, it's
oh, that's the order, right?
So should we put it backwards or forward?
On here?
Like following a clock?
Oh, probably, yeah, you're right, I think. Probably. Let us follow. This is a K on the bottom, right?
So wouldn't it be
E, yeah, you're right. Okay, it was organized, right? Okay, then we have E. Who else? M and B. Benjamin. Okay, that's an interesting point. I didn't search about that, but I was thinking that what my way was the right one. Thank you for that. Now, on the north, who is going to be? Verse 25. I'm going to erase this. Who would like to read verse 25, please?
Standard of the camp of Dan shall be on the north side by their armies, and the captain of the children of Dan shall be Ahizkiah, the son of Ammishaddai.
Okay, where does Dan go? Here on my left or on my right? Okay, Dan. Now, verse 27. Who was going to be next to him?
Those that encamp by him shall be the tribe of Asher. And the captain of the children of Asher shall be Pagiel, the son of Okran.
Thank you. Verse 29. Next to them.
In the tribe of Naphtali, and the captain of the children of Naphtali shall be Ahira, the son of Enan.
Thank you. Naphtali here. Are we going to remember this? Let us start. Look.
Of
Judah,
Issachar,
Issachar, Zebulun. Now let us make it easier. Who was here? Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. Now here. Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. Okay, let us see if we remember. Let us make it easier again. Here. Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. Here. Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. Here. Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. Very good. Let us go back. Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. Reuben, Simeon, Gad. Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin. Here, just remember this. Dan, Asher, Naphtali. Naphtali, yes. Let's make it in order then. Judah, Reuben, Gad, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Naphtali. Naphtali. That's really good, isn't it?
What's the importance of the names?
Of the names, because the names are mentioned because they are the names of the tribes.
Yeah, they're the leaders of the tribe.
Yes.
What's the actual, why we're trying to remember their names?
We're going to see that in a minute. Okay? Now, as we know this order of how the people of Israel were organized, now somebody's missing again. Who is that? The Levites. Where they were going to be? Roundabout. And we are going to see how they organized. Now, let's go back to Numbers chapter 1. And we are going to read once again, read verse 53. And it says here, "But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of the testimony, that there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep the charge of the tabernacle of the testimony." So here we find the tribe of the Levites round about the tabernacle. Now, who were the sons of Levi? Because we are talking about the Levites. Let us see now. Let's turn to chapter 3. And I would like Sister Alida read, please, verse 17. Chapter 3, verse 17.
And these were the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon and Kohath and Merari.
Right. So, how many children did he have? 3. And he had also daughters as well. Okay, but it is not mentioned here. Just the names of men. Now, verse 18. Brother Naaman, please.
These are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families, Libni and Shimei.
Okay. Sister Mel, verse 19.
And the sons of Kohath by their families, Amram, Izahar, Hebron, and
Uziel. Thank you. Brother Nicola, verse 20.
And the sons of Merari by their families, Machli and Mushi, These are the families of the Levites according to the house of their fathers.
Thank you. So here, the three names and their descendants were mentioned. And in verse 19, when it mentions about the sons of Kohath, it is mentioned actually the name of the father of Moses and Aaron as well, whose name was Amram. Okay, so let us keep that in mind. Now, remember that I said before that the children of Israel, they had to be numbered as well, but in a separate occasion. At this point, they are going to be numbered. And let us see now verses 14, 15, and 16. I'm going to read these verses. It says, chapter 3, verse 14 and 15 and 16. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, Number the children of Levi after the house of their fathers, by their families, every male from a month old and upward shall thou number them. There is a difference here in numbering babies now. Verse 16. And Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord, as he was commanded. Now, who would like to read chapter 3, verse 21 and 22? And here we are going to see the number again of the Gershonites. Sister Rachel, can you please?
Of Gershon was the family of the Libnites and the family of the Shemites. These were the families of the Gershonites. Those that were numbered of them according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, even those that were numbered of them were 7,500.
Thank you. How many?
7,500.
Okay, just of the Gershonites. Okay. Now, where did they pitch? Verse 23.
The Levites.
The Gershonites. The Gershonites. Okay.
The families of the Gershonites shall pitch behind the tabernacle
Westward. Look at this. They were going to be here. Really close to the tabernacle. Verse 23, right? So the Gershonites were there. Okay? Now, the Kohathites and their numbers. Verse 27 and 28. Sister Lida, please.
And the Kohath was the family of the Amramites, and the family of the Ishahatites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzzites. These are the families of the Kohathites.
Thank you.
And 28, did you say?
Yes, 28.
In the number of all the males from a month old and upward were 8,600, keeping the charge of the sanctuary.
Thank you. So, how many here? 8,600. And where did they pitch? Sister Lida again, verse 29 now.
The families of the sons of Kohath shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward.
Here. The Kohathites were going to pitch southward. Okay? Now, it gave us our the numbers as well. Now, the Merarites, verse 33 and verse 34. Brother Damien, please.
Of Merari was the family of the Mahlites, and the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all the males, from a month old and upward, were 6,200.
Thank you. And where did they pitch? Verse 35. Brother Damien again, please.
And the chief of the house of the father of the families of Merari was Zuriel, the son of Abihail. These shall pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward.
Northward. Kohathites on the south, Gershonites on the west, and Merarites on the north. Who is missing here? Moses. Who else? Aaron and his children as well. But before that, let us see here the total number, verse 39. It says here, all that were number of the Levites, which Moses and Aaron numbered at a commandment of the Lord, throughout their families, all the males from a month old and upward were 22,000. And they were counted from 1 month old onward, right? Now, Moses and Aaron, what happened to them? Verse 38. Sister Lida, please. Chapter 3, verse 38.
But those that encamped before tabernacle toward the east, even before the tabernacle of the congregation eastward, shall be Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the charge of the sanctuary for the charge of the children of Israel, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death.
Yes. So where they were going to pitch? On the east, just on the door. So Moses, who else? Aaron, who else?
His son.
How many sons?
Two, didn't he?
He had 4, right? It's interesting. Now, let us go back a little bit and read chapter 3, Numbers chapter 3, verses 2 and 4. Look at this. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. How many children? 4. Verse 4. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no children, and Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest office in the sight of Aaron their father. So what happened to Abihu, Nadab and Abihu? They died because of strange fire. So here, these priests were ministering in the tabernacle. They died exactly here in the holy place when they brought strange fire here in this altar of incense.
What strange fire?
What is that? This fire from this altar was kindled by God Himself. And they brought a strange fire from outside, and kindled it. That's why they were killed. But that was not the only reason. But actually, they were playing the whore at the door of the tabernacle as well. And that's why they were killed by God the Lord. They were playing the whore. They were prostituting themselves with the children. Yes, at the door of the tabernacle too. That's why God killed them. As the sons of Levi as well. Right? Now, okay, if we can pay attention here, please. Moses, Aaron, who else? The sons. Ithamar,
And Ithamar.
Eleazar, thank you. And Ithamar. Just these 2. When Aaron passed away, I think Eleazar became the high priest. Yes? So now, look at this organization, brethren. All of the tribes were organized here. Okay? Now, why Aaron, Moses, and Aaron's sons, why were they pitching here, close to the tabernacle? Because all the tribes were going to be far off the tabernacle. There is a reason for that. Remember that just the Levites were going to be close to the tabernacle? Right? Now, to which tribe did Moses and Aaron belong to then? Let us read Exodus chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Who would like to read these verses, please?
Exodus 2, verses 1 and 2.
Yes.
And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
Okay. A man of the house of Levi took wife what? Whom? A daughter of Levi. So it says here that Levi didn't have only Kohath, Gerson, and Merari, but he had also a daughter. Now, Exodus chapter 6, verses 18 and 20. And it says here, and the sons of Kohath, Amram, and Israel, and Hebron, and Uzziel, and the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And Amram took him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife. And she bare him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. So, Moses' fathers got married with his auntie. Yes. Yeah. Totally. So, these two got together and they had Moses Aaron, and who else? Miriam too. So if we read Numbers 26:59, I'm going to read this. And the name of Aaron's wife was Jochebed. That was the name of Moses' mom, Jochebed, the daughter of Levi, whom her mother bare to Levi in Egypt. And she bare unto Amram, Aaron, Moses, and Miriam, their sister. So we have here the complete information now of the parents of Moses. Now, they belong to which tribe then? By mom and dad, they belong to the Levites. That's why God chose them to be here on the front door of the tabernacle.
Did they integrate through marriage?
Yes, they did.
So when it was them, because as it was them, by the male.
By the male, yeah. So we can see that story actually when there were just daughters of one man in one tribe, and they wanted to get married. But if they get married, they were going to lose, their inheritance. If they marry somebody from a different tribe, I don't know if you remember that story, and they had to marry somebody from their own tribe for them not to lose their inheritance. Don't remember exactly the names of these daughters of this tribe, but if they wanted to keep their inheritance, the only ones, by the way, that had inheritance material land were the tribes, the 11 tribes, right? But the Levites didn't have any inheritance. Their inheritance had to be whom? The Lord, right? That's why the tabernacle was given for them to keep it. Now, okay, let's go back to Numbers chapter 2, and we remember, right, the names of these tribes? Okay, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Reuben, Simeon, Gad, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Asher, and Naphtali. Now, okay, I'm going to erase all these. Something that I wanted to mention is that's why one of the prophets, if you remember his name, couldn't be able to curse the people of Israel. Balaam. What happened to him? He went up to a mountain and he saw all these organizations. And instead of cursing the people of God, what happened to him? He blessed them. How many times? 3 times, I think so as well. Yeah, so that's why, because of this organization, the thing that I wanted to point out is that God works with organization. That
Yes, structure.
He has it. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. Who knows it by heart?
Let all things be done decently and in order.
And in order. And God was fulfilling His word exactly in the desert. Okay? Now, how did the people of Israel, remember that I mentioned when the cloud or the pillar of fire or cloud lift up, they had to move together with her, with the pillar? In which order? Do you think that God was organized His people to march in this order we went through?
Clockwise.
Clockwise? Okay, let us see then. Let us go to Numbers chapter 2, and we are going to see now how they were marching. Chapter 2, verse 9. Who would like to read first?
All these were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000 and 40,000 and 6,400 throughout their armies. This shall first set forth.
Okay, these shall first set forth. So they will go in front of everyone. But who was Judah with here? You remember that? Is that okay, that order? Yes? Judah in the front?
Yes.
Yes, because he had to be in the front. Jeez, okay? Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. Now, verse 16. Who was the second one? Can you read that, please?
All that were numbered in the camp of Reuben were 100,000 and 61,450 throughout their armies. They set forth in the second rank.
Thank you. So in the second round, who was here? Reuben and who else?
Reuben, Simeon, and Gad.
The same order they encamped, all right? They were going to march in order as well. Now, verse 17. Who was going to be in the middle? Yes, Sister Mel, thank you.
What verse?
17?
Then the tabernacle of the congregation shall set forward with the camp of the Levites in the midst of the camp, and they encamp, so they shall set forward every man in his place by their standards.
Where were they going to be here? According to the verse. Where? In the middle, right? I'm going to make a little house here. Okay? Now, it's going to be the tabernacle, letter T, here in the middle, right? Because it says here, in the midst of the camp, as they encamp. Okay? Now, who is going to be after them? Verse 24.
All that were numbered of the camp of Ephraim were 100,000, 8,000, and 100 throughout their armies, and they shall go forward in the third rank.
Thank you. Who was here then? Ephraim. Who else?
Manasseh,
Manasseh and Benjamin. Isn't it amazing? So they were organized as well to march. Now the last one, verse 31. Sister Alida, please.
All they that were numbered of the camp of Dan were 100,050 and 7,000 and 600. They shall so hindmost understand. They shall
Yes,
by their standards.
with these standards. So who was going to be here first?
Dan,
Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. Now, what about the Ark of the Covenant? Where was the Ark of the Covenant here?
in the center with
In the
the
middle? Do you think so?
I think so. Oh.
yes.
Let us read in the Bible better, right? Numbers 10:33. Look at this. I'm going to read this verse. 10:33, it says, "And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them in the 3 days' journey to search out a resting place for them." So where was the ark going to be? Here. Okay, I'm going to leave it. And who were the only ones who could carry the ark of the covenant? The Levites. But who in the Levites? The Gershonites, the Merarites, or the Kohathites? The Kohathites. Okay? The Gershonites were in charge actually of the curtains. Then the Gershonites were in charge of the boards, and the staves also, and some other stuff as well. But the Kohathites were in charge only of carrying the things into the tabernacle. And the thing is that the ones that could touch, in fact, this furniture were Aaron's children, because they had to cover the ark. You're going to read that in Numbers, in Exodus, and the information actually how they should march and how they had to take all this furniture with them. Now, we are missing something else. So the ark was here, and in the book, The History of Redemption, it says when they were conquering Jericho, there were 4 angels here taking care of the ark. They were protecting the ark, right? Together with the people when they were marching. So this was the order when they were marching, actually, before conquering Jericho. Now, what about the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night? What happened to the pillar? Where do you think the pillar is going to go? In the middle? Okay?
Because they're following him.
Yes. Exodus chapter 13, verse 21. Exodus 13, verse 21. If you find it, please, you can read it.
And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them by the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night.
Okay, so the pillar of cloud was here in front of the ark. So the pillar of cloud was actually leading them, right, and giving them light at night and leading them in the morning. So chapter 14 of Numbers, verse 14, it confirms also that the pillar of cloud was going in front of them. Chapter 14, verse 14, it says, "And they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land, for they have heard that thou, Lord, art among these people, that thou, Lord, art seen face to face, and that thy cloud standeth over them, and that thou goest before them by day time in a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire by night. So where was the Lord going here? In front of them, before them, leading them in their ways.
What was that last verse you read?
Numbers chapter 14, verse 14. In the last part it says, and they may know that thou goest before them by daytime in a pillar of cloud and in a pillar of fire by night. So now, were they organized or not? Extremely. Every single detail was left for us in the Bible. I really like the book of Numbers because of this information. You know, sometimes we read and we find all this description of tribes and number of people, but actually there is a beautiful information about the organization of God's people in the desert. Now, what was the name of their leader, the human leader there? Moses. How did Moses walk with them? By faith. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 27, it says something interesting. Hebrews chapter 11, 27, it says, if you find it, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. So but look at this. The pillar of cloud was here all the time. And the people were complaining. They were murmuring. Weren't they? Yes, all the time. But look, wasn't the pillar of cloud there all the time? Why were they complaining? Why were they asking or complaining about Moses or blaming him all the time? Because they were not walking as Moses was walking, looking to him who is invisible. And you know, brothers, today we are going to find, even in the church here, people that complain, people that murmur. But we have to walk as Moses was walking.
So they were walking because they have to.
Yes. And today we have to walk as seeing the invisible as well. We cannot see him literally, but by faith we believe that Christ is leading his people today. And you know what the result is going to be if we look to him every day in our lives? Do you want to see the result? Let's go to Numbers 12 again. Look, again, the book of Numbers, chapter 12, verse 3. Look what happened to here. Who would like to read this verse, please? Chapter 12 of Numbers, verse 3.
Now the man Moses was very many of all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
So what is the description of Moses there?
Very meek.
Very meek. Is there a difference between meek and very meek? He was extremely meek, actually. Now, why are we grumpy? Why are we, sometimes we get angry easily. Why? Because we are not looking to the invisible. And the result of Moses looking to him that was before them, that was leading his people in the desert, was that he became a very meek person. So brothers, today we are in the desert of this world as well, right? And we are journeying to the heavenly Canaan. And today we need to walk by faith. And we need to be organized as well as God's people. God has a church in this world and is organized and is working through his church as an instrument to enlighten the whole world. And we as a people should be organized. We need to love each other and we need to walk with God in this desert. The desert of problems, desert of anguish as well, of trouble, but still we can walk by faith and see that God is leading us through this desert of problems. And I would like to encourage you, brothers and sisters, today, that we may walk by faith, that we may live by faith every day, And we are going to become very meek. People that love each other. People that is going to be organized, walking decently and in order. That's the way the Lord led His people of the desert. And today, the Lord wants to lead us as well. So my appeal today is, let us walk by faith, brothers. Let us forgive each other. Let us love each other. Let us help each other. And let us be organized and walk in order and in decency. In the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.